Okay, so this second video on stock counting is about how to now you've gone around with your count sheets and you've counted all of your stock. You now need to add that stock count into R9. Okay, so we're going to come to stock management, and once again, we're going to come to stock count up the top here. Now, before we do anything further, there's a button that's really important for us to press, and that is this one over here on the right-hand side, which I tried to highlight, I can't. But it's the set stock count to 0 per category button. I must click that before doing anything else. Okay, so I'm going to say, yeah, all of this, set stock count to 0. Do you want to overwrite the existing stock count values? Yes, I do. Okay, and that's going to default everything back. So I need to move that. Press continue, back to 0 before I start doing anything else. So make sure you press that every single time without fail before the first time when you first started on entering stock. Next up, so previously we pressed print stock count by template. That's how you got the stock count sheets printed off. This time you're doing the button just above, input stock count by template. It's going to ask you to select your template. So that will match the same as we've used for printing our stock count as well. So I'm going to click on that. And as you can now see, you've got an entering sheet that comes up. And again, they're in exactly the same order as your count sheets to make it nice and easy to marry it up. And again, you've got 2 separate lines and 2 separate ways to enter your stock for each individual different type of food. So again, really, really important. I can't stress this enough, guys, that you make sure you're entering the right type of count into each of these lines. So again, if I had 4 loose bubble teas in my front fridges, I have 4. But then if I had 2 cases in my ambient storage, I would put 2 here because that's a case and that's each. Okay, another example, let's have a look for one. I'll go with the nori half sheets again just for consistency. So nori is somewhere around here. Here it is. So nori. So we can count that each by each individual sheet or in packets that come in 100 packets. We can't count it by box. Okay. We know that there's 10 packets of nori in a box. So you can write 10 if you had a box. But you can't do it as an actual box. Now, it's really important. So let's say we had 2 full boxes of nori and 2 loose packets, and then we had about half of a packet open in our tins. Okay, so how do we add that into the system? Okay, so first of all, we know we've got 2 full boxes. So in a box of nori, we know that there's 10 packets of 100 sheets. So that would be 20 there, because as you see, that's 1 packet of 100. I know that there's 10 per box, so that would be 10. And I know I've got 2 boxes, so 10 times 2 is 20. So that's the first part. I then know I have 2 loose packets of nori sheets on my ambient shelving, so I'm going to add 2 more packets. So I've now got 22. And then finally, I know I've got roughly about half a packet that's open in my nori tin. So I'm just going to add a 0.5. So I now have 22.5 packets of nori in my kiosk. And I press out and I click off, and you can see here, it will update the value of that amount of stock. Okay. Now, if I entered that into the wrong column, so if I set this back to 0 again, so we're £0, but I entered that 22.5 in the wrong line. So I put it in this 1 each line above and I click. The value of that's now only 96p, because I'm not telling the system that I have 22.5 packets. I'm telling the system that I have 22.5 individual sheets. Okay. So it's super, super duper important that you get the right line for what you're adding in. Okay. Keep in mind when you come into things like dressings, you're going to be talking in litres. Yeah, so 1 litre versus 6 packets. So if you look at this one here, hoisin sauce, it comes in 1 litre bottles. So I can say, right, I've got half a bottle and I've got 1 packet of 6 of how they get delivered. Yeah, so I'm actually telling the system that I've got 6.5 bottles in my storage room. Sorry, 5.5. Apologies, sorry, not 6.5. Because 6.5. There's 6 bottles in a case. Apologies, there's 6 bottles in a case, and half a bottle that I've got open elsewhere. So that's a value of £26. But again, if I got that wrong and said I've got 6 bottles, but I put it in the wrong line, I'm now spending £146 on that because it's saying that I've got 6 times 6 bottles, which means I have 36 bottles in my kiosk. So it's really important you understand the difference on the 2 lines that you can enter your stock on. So as you go through, you're going to add all of your stock counting in. Now, in these scenarios, if you don't have a stock line, you do need to leave it as a 0. Do not leave it as a blank, because eventually we'll do something called a theoretical stock, and then leaving a blank, we'll do an automatic calculation for you, which we don't want it to do just yet. So make sure every line, if you haven't got an item, you put the physical 0 in that line. There are 2 pages. So when you come to the bottom here, you'll get to white sesame seeds. You can see that there's 109 records, but it's only displaying 100. So I will need to click to the next page just to get the final 9 ingredients that I need to add on. Okay. Once I've done that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to press save and return in the middle, this button up the top next to the green one. So my stock count has now been added. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you've got this green button at the bottom that says close. So I'm going to click on that and press OK. For now, ignore these warning messages. We'll come back to those in a moment. Press the green button, close stock period. Press OK. All right. So it then changes your stock management page slightly. So you can see now that it says closed up the top, and you get these new 4 buttons up the top left-hand side. Okay. At this point, this is all that you will need to do from, if you're a rolling region kiosk, this is all you will need to do. Okay. This is then all you need to do is then message Tim, Donna, John, or myself to say I have closed my stock or entered my stock and closed it on the system. Okay. Please do not press this green approve button. Okay. That is for Tim, Donna, John, and myself only for the rolling region sites. Pack sites, you may be slightly different. You may be fully aware about stock reconciliation, this button here, and how to run that report to then go through your stock to work out what your actual usage has been. Okay. I will do a separate video at a later stage for the pack sites because we're going to do a lot of work on getting this information accurate and correct. And then I'll do a separate video for the pack sites and eventually for rolling region on how to actually do recounts and know when you need to do a recount. Okay, but for now, your franchise trainer or your OSM will be able to tell you which stock lines you need to go and recount. Okay, but as I say, all you need to worry about for now from a rolling region perspective is getting to this page and not pressing approve and dropping us a message to let you know that's the stage you've got to on the last day of the month.